What's up, YouTube? Working on a Honda Accord, and the issue with this is the AC doesn't work. Now you turn the AC on, nothing happens. The clutch doesn't kick in, and this is the pulley for the AC compressor, and the clutch is on the front of it. A closer look, you can see the belt. That's the pulley, that's the AC. And if you look on the front right here, where you have the pulley, right to the front of the pulley right here, that's the clutch. What happens is, when certain conditions are met, when the compressor have enough refrigerant in it, when the relay and the fuse, everything is working correctly, and you turn your AC on, power goes to this wire right here, and this is just one wire on this car. Some cars is 2 wires, but this is one. So power goes to this wire, and it energizes the clutch. It pulls it into the compressor, and then it lets the compressor start moving around the refrigerant, and that's how you get your cold air. Now here I got the alternator removed. I got a separate video on that. You could watch that video to see how to remove it, but really it's only 3 bolts. It's one right here up top and 2 at the bottom. And before you do any AC work, if you're going to change a compressor, make sure you vacuum the system and get all the freon out of it. If you don't have, it's a special vacuum for that. If you don't have that, take it to a shop, and it's got to have a container to catch the old freon. So if you don't have all that, take it to a shop, have them vacuum it, and you want to change it yourself, you have them vacuum it, and then you could change it. Now I have to remove these 2 lines. So I have to remove this one and that one. And if you look closely, you see the nut on this stud that's holding it. Same thing on this one. Got to remove those and take the lines out. And I'm gonna use a deep socket and a extension just so I could get it on camera, but you really don't have to use such a long extension. Now you see I got both lines out, and they have a O-ring on them. You can see a little black right here, that's the O-ring right here. Now this O-ring, if you don't have new ones, you want to make sure you don't get these damaged. You want to just put them off to the side. Don't take them off, don't lose them. But when you order your compressor, try to order a OEM compressor, and those usually comes with the required amount of oil already installed in it, and it has caps that plug these holes. So you wanna, once you install it, you don't have to worry about adding oil. You just get it, you just vacuum it and add your refrigerant. This bottom line, I had to use a wobble extension. So on this bottom one here, bottom bolt, I had to use a wobble just so I could go in at an angle and have it sit flush on the bolt. The top one is a nut that goes on this stud. The bottom one is a bolt. It's a short bolt, but bottom one goes like that. Now last but not least, this connector, the connector for the compressor. Squeeze, pull out. Now everything is disconnected. At this point, there are 4 bolts that hold the compressor. It's one right here, it's another one over here, and there's 2 at the bottom, one on this side and one on that side. And you could actually feel under there, and you feel them. And these 4 bolts that have to get taken out are actually 12mm also. So I'll go on here, and same thing in the bottom. So the easiest way to get to these bottom bolts on the compressor, if you look, we just use the oil pan as a reference. See the oil pan as if you're doing an oil change, and if you go in front of the oil pan, then this is where you see the bolts. You see one bolt, and you see the other one in the back right there. This is the easiest way to get to the bottom bolts. Now if your car has a splash guard, like if this extend, you want to take it off. I'll probably just bend this piece back so I could get to the bolts. And remember, it's always safety first, so you probably want to start off by putting the car on a ramp, or jack it up, put it on jack stands. I jacked it up and I have it on jack stands. Going with my 12 extended flex head. If it gets stuck, just pry it off with a screwdriver. And I love these extended flex head. Just use my screwdriver to make sure it goes in flush. Now they might not pull out all the way, but you just want to unscrew them, make sure they're completely out of the bracket, and just let them hang. And just finish taking this one out. Now the one all the way back here, after you back it out maybe halfway, make sure you use a ratcheting wrench like this, or open end or open box end. Doesn't have to be ratchet, just make sure it's thin, so you could finish taking it out. If you use a thick head ratchet, it's actually gonna get caught between the bolts and the frame, so you want to use this one, a thin head or regular head, so you could actually get it all the way out, and you could still take this out after you're done. There we go. Now I go back up top. I finished taking out the two top ones and pull the whole thing out. And if it gets stuck on there, can't get it off, you just get your screwdriver, wedge it between it, and you pry it off. Now I just went from the bottom, wedged a screwdriver in there and just pry it off, just to get it to, you know, snap off. Just be careful doing that. And now I just grab it by the pulley and I pull straight up, and let's see, hopefully I get it out like this. Now the upper bolts are longer and thicker, and the lower ones, you can see they're shorter and a little bit thinner. And I cleaned these up. You could use a Brillo pad just to get all the rust off. And what I'm going to do is put some anti-seize on it, on all of them actually. And when I'm putting the compressor back in, I'm going to put the two lower bolts in first, and then I try to catch one or two of the top ones, just a few threads, and then I could go ahead and finish torquing down the bottom ones. And like I always say, it's always a good idea to match the old part with the new part. And on doing so, after taking it out, even though I ordered the number that's on the old one, the new one is actually different. So I'm gonna have to put the old one back in until I'm able to replace this new one. But you always want to match it up, and if possible, you always want to get the part number of the original part, and try to have the identical one. And reinstalling it is just the opposite of taking it out. You put the bottom bolts in, you get it in, put it in position, you catch the two top bolts, then go back under the vehicle, tighten the bottom ones, then you tighten the top ones, and put your lines back in. Make sure it's nice and clean. When you take this out, once you disconnect your lines, always stuff like a rag in there in both holes, just to make sure no debris gets inside. Same thing with the new one. When you're putting the new one in, leave these caps on it. If it doesn't have the caps, put a rag in there and you seal the holes. And when you put the line on, you pop the rag out and put the lines on. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.